G'day, guys. Welcome to the Thunder from Down Under podcast. I'm your host, Graham Solomon. And as always, if you're watching on Facebook, smash that like and love button to welcome our guests that's coming in to share some time with us. Also, go to the Graham Solomon Thunder from Down Under YouTube channel. If you're not a part of the family, hit subscribe and hit the bell icon so when we go live, bang, you're in the Thunderdome with us. And just a little thing I'd like to thank our station sponsors, Big Dream Digital and Buying House Direct. But without any further ado, I would like to introduce our next guest, who is the he's the main man at Privy, and his name is Benson Giraz. Benson, thank you for coming in. I've been pretty excited to have you in and talk all things Privy.
Awesome, Graham. Thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate it. I am my title is the managing partner. Got a business partner, Scott Fall, and we got an amazing team here of developers and support people. And I am just stoked to be here with you.
Well, no disrespect to Scott and the team, but you're the best looking, and they've put you as the face because of your British good looks.
So kind.
So there you go. But no, awesome stuff. Thanks, Benson, for coming in. Now, we're going to talk about it a little bit later. We're going to talk about how you've got a 3-day boot camp, a free boot camp coming up, which is unbelievable to come in and be able to learn every little aspect of the software. But first of all, I'd just like for the audience, if you could just give us a bit of your backstory so people can get to know sort of how you transition into real estate and into where you're at now in Privy.
Yeah, well, I've been in business in real estate one way or another for the last 20 years. Started way back in 2001. I was actually active duty military at the time. It was after 9/11. And I was kind of just dabbling in some different things and educating myself. And, I was fortunate enough to have, I guess, a schedule that would give me some time off in the middle of the week. And I really didn't want to just take that time and, waste it just pedaling around the house or just doing nothing that was really going to advance me. And so I've always been an entrepreneur, and I decided to go start slinging loans, like mortgage loans. That got me into hard money lending, and then that got me into doing my own deals, and then eventually wholesaling. Got licensed as an agent, and 20 years later, here I am, still kicking, still doing deals. I actually happen to be sitting in a property that I purchased in St. Louis virtually from Denver, which was where I'm from. Using our software, I was able to actually feel comfortable with doing my local market and education, learning the St. Louis market by studying our investor activity, finding an agent who was investor focused, building my buyers list, all 100% virtually. And now I'm actually here building a portfolio because I figured out that I can make a lot more money by acquiring properties here and doing cash flow than I could by making $5, 10, $15,000 a pop on a wholesale deal.
Yeah. So you've pretty much done everything. You've been there, done that. So that would have held you in good stead for knowing exactly how a software would work, what people need, what they really want. They don't want all the fluff and that. They want the stuff that gets deals and gets them in front of sellers and buyers. So that would have been a great 20 years is a long time. So that would have been a great prelude to basically know exactly what investors are looking for. So the other thing I just wanted to ask you, just on that topic, your if there was someone new starting, what advice would you give them? I mean, 20 years in the industry, and now expanding into a software that's one of the best on the market. What advice would you give a newbie that was about to start in real estate, knowing what you know now?
I would say the formula to perfect this whole process to where you can get from just starting off to closing deal is very complicated. There's a lot of moving parts, and I would definitely say do whatever you can to simplify it, and don't ignore the real estate side of the education with the hopes of just becoming a lead generation machine. So many people first come in and they are all in on lead gen. What list am I going to skip trace? What kind of software am I going to use? Who's my coach going to be? What strategy am I using? Is it wholesale, fix and flip, buy and hold? Is it, am I doing off market, on market? Like there are so many distractions in the business, then they focus so much on like lead gen, and typically it's off market lead gen, cold calling and skip tracing and all of those kinds of activities that they never really learn like what a deal looks like. Like what is a deal in St. Louis versus Tampa versus Dallas versus Philadelphia? Comping is like a secondary thought, like how to even like run comps, which is like the basis of understanding what a deal is. Like most people are so focused on lead generation that when the deal finally presents itself, or at least an opportunity, they don't even know how to analyze it. They don't know what a deal looks like. And
Yeah,
it's because the gurus of the world have them so focused on lead generation that they don't learn the real estate side of the business, which I believe is more than half of all of the foundational understanding you need of the business to be able to really move yourself forward. And what that part of that real estate education is where to look for deals. And I believe that the main reason why people fail, which is over 90%, it's probably approaching 95. I don't know there's anybody out there who knows the exact numbers, but in general, people say that 9 out of 10 people are going to fail in this business. Um, the main reason I believe is because they're looking in the wrong areas. It's where they're looking is stopping them from succeeding, not what list they're pulling, what strategy they're using, all the other variables out there that are important. But if you are in a crappy market and the ingredients aren't present to be able to assemble a deal, you could be the best marketer ever. But if you don't have investor activity around you, the data that you need to use to prove after repair value and prove that it's a deal, then it doesn't matter how many leads you have,
yeah,
because the data is not there to prove that it's a deal. And if you can't prove it to yourself, you're sure as heck not going to be able to prove it to a buyer if you're wholesaling, or an appraiser who's going to be even more strict on the data they use to prove value. So you got to think several steps ahead, and then begin with that end in mind and then work backward. And that is how you should choose your market. And that's going to be the foundation of you figuring everything else out that needs to be figured out.
yeah. That's great advice. And like you say, there's so many moving parts. I mean, even like people who haven't had any sales background, how to talk to someone on the phone, how to close, how to, because like you say, you can have as many leads and you can be really good at lead gen, but if you can't talk to someone and close the deal, there's no deal, is there? So there's a lot of stuff. And look, it's great to, a lot of people do say, it's all about your lead generation, but there are a lot of other things that you've got to develop, and you've got to do it on the go, don't you? You've got to sort of learn, and you've got to keep,
Oh, yeah.
moving on the go. But yeah, that's great advice. Now, I just wanted to, your top sort of mindset hacks, been in the business 20 years. What have you used, like success habits, and to keep yourself motivated for 20 years in the business?
Success habits for me, it's I think it's almost just in my blood. It's weird because my parents and my upbringing wasn't entrepreneurial at all. Like my dad was a police officer for 33 years. My mom was a bank teller and worked her way up in the banking industry. Um, and so there wasn't an entrepreneurial bone in any of their bodies. So I don't know how I got lucky and got that entrepreneurial um, inspiration. It wasn't from them, certainly, but I was raised right. And one of the things that they always taught me was to follow through, right? So finish what you start, right? And that was always something that was embedded into me. And also just like really good work ethic, like grinding, like not quitting, not being a wuss, like getting my feelings hurt and needing somebody's shoulder to cry on. Like, I mean, this is a tough world we live in, and I do believe that we are in the best country in the world for that to happen. No offense, um, being
No,
in Australia.
best real estate market in the world. I always shout that out. The US,
Hmm.
amazing. So, you know, um,
Yeah,
I have to agree with you.
and so we have. I believe I had a lot of the things that were there to help me be successful, and with the work ethic and the right upbringing and the ability to know that I can and fail, and it's not the end of the world. Like, and then just building on that and learning from it is that comes from my upbringing. Honestly, I do think I was fortunate to have that in my household, but it wasn't entrepreneurial at all. Like I figured most of the stuff out that got me to this point, after I left the home, right? It was in college and when I started my first business, and it was, through, failed, ventures here and there, and just figuring things out. And, now I'm really fortunate to be, operating at the intersection of my two passions, which is technology, which is what I went to school for. It was information systems, and then and real estate, which I found, in early 2000. And now I get to do both of those, which
Yeah.
makes me super excited to get up every morning.
Yep. Yep. Cool. Excellent. And you've continued doing self development stuff. You're constantly working on yourself within that 20 years. Is that something that you've um, continued doing?
No, I wish I could say I have been. That's the thing. I mean, ups and downs of life, Graham. I mean, we've all been through those times where it's like, it feels like the world's crumbling in around you. I took a really big hit in 2008 and 9, like a lot of real estate professionals did. I lost my real estate portfolio that I had built, and I had to basically start over. And so I spent the beginning parts of the 2010, 11, 12, 13, like just really figuring things out again, but also putting my hat in some different rings, which is what took me to California. So after I'd met Scott and we were getting things going with Privy, I actually was doing some real estate, not real estate, angel investing. So I was investing in startup companies just for years. It was just a passion of mine, like finding little startups and putting money into things. And one of the startups I invested in was one out in California, a fintech or a financial technology company. And I went out there to launch that and spent 4 years in LA, like deep into like the whole startup world,
Yep.
raising money and building technology, building teams, finding, talking to customers, solving problems. And I think that has gone a long way with what's helped me to be successful in this Privy venture, is really understanding like the technology, like the startup world, and then Privy as a growing company, and now like we're really like growing fast, and I've taken all of that and put it into what I do every day.
So your education's come from the school of hard knocks, learning, getting knocked down, getting
Yep.
back up, and just that resilience that you learnt back in the home. Your parents taught you not don't give up, don't be a wuss,
Hmm.
keep getting back up. So that's good. You've learned, from, like I said, the school of hard knocks, and that's always a great education because if you can get back up again, you're just stronger and stronger. So that's awesome. All right, let's get down to business, Benson. Let's talk about Privy. Firstly, what I'll do is I'll just get you to just give us an overview of
Yeah.
the Privy system. We can jump on and do some screen share, but just quickly, the top sort of 3 to 5 benefits of using Privy, just off the top of your head. What are the main benefits that you tell people?
Yeah. So when you asked me, what do I think new people should do? Or can I give them any advice? And one of the keys to that is where you look is one of the keys to your success. Okay. So don't look for deals based off of convenience or what's comfortable or what's familiar. What that inevitably ends up doing is causing someone to look for deals where they live. And so they'll bang their head against the wall for weeks, months if they've got any perseverance, and years if they're just like a glutton for punishment before having any success. But usually what happens is they burn out and they quit, right? So what we do is we track all the investor activity nationwide. So we've got data feeds from multiple different sources. We've got all of like what you would like but public record data, county record data, off market leads like foreclosures, absentee owners, vacancies, tired landlords, just a few of those kind of like off market type leads. Um, and then we've got what's called third party MLS data, which is nationwide, and we've got a great competitor. They're called PropStream. That's what we would call like PropStream level data, right? Like
Yeah,
third party county record data. It's okay in a pinch, but you really don't want to use that data if you can find a better source, which is what we've done is gotten better sources. We are the only company that is going direct to MLS and getting that data, the same data that agents and appraisers use, but it's not their access. We've got a raw data feed. And so
yeah,
we're able to bring that data into our system and curate it and make it actionable for actually real estate investing, not for normal kind of people who want to buy a home to live in, like you might find on a Redfin or a Zillow. Like those sites are not designed for real estate investing. And
Yeah.
again, I know some investors, wholesalers will go there to try to use to decide value and come up with after repair value or doing some research, but it really is just a problem waiting to happen because it's just a little bit of the whole picture. And in a business where numbers are everything, you don't want to hack this. Like entrepreneurs, Graham, like you and I, we're notorious for thinking we can do everything ourselves, right? Hacking every situation, figuring out solutions, doing things for free if we can, right? And then also like not using the best tools, but a tool that's just good enough to get us in trouble, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this is why people go out and they'll use like these other tools to try to figure out the numbers. And again, if you're really going to put this business in front and you're going to do it right, like you need to have professional data and analytics and business tools to do that. Otherwise, you're basically treating it like a hobby. And if you treat it like a hobby, you're going to get hobby like results, which is maybe you stumble into a deal a couple times a year if you're lucky.
Mm.
But likely, you're not going to get anything done and things just aren't going to happen. And then eventually you're going to move on with your life. So this is what we put ourselves out to be is a data analytics platform with the best data that's available out there, the same data that agents and appraisers use, but it's all automated. So we can show you every single investment deal that's been done nationwide. We can show you who bought it, how much they bought it for, how much they sold it for if it was a flip. We have really cool before and after pictures, Graham, where you can see the transition, which is why like so many people love those fix and flip shows because they love to see like the before and the after, right? And it's cool to see that huge transformation. We've got that in our system. We're the only ones that have that before and after data, and then we calculate some timelines, like how long that property was under construction, how many days of market, whole construction period. We can show you, which is essential in deciding what a deal is the percentage of ARV. What discount did they buy that property at for it to turn into a deal? And that knowing what a deal is a game changer because you can ultimately switch from a model where you use some sort of a formula. You've probably heard of the 70%
Yeah.
MAO formula, maximum allowable offer, where you take an ARV that they probably calculate incorrectly anyway because they found it on some random website, multiply that by 70%, minus out their construction costs, and then minus out an assignment fee if they're doing a wholesale deal, and that is their offer. That almost never works.
Mm.
And again, another reason why people are failing is because you only would use that formula if you didn't know your numbers. Like if you didn't know what a deal was, and if you didn't know what buyers actually want, which is what we do on the next step. So you find the investor activity, you go there, you see what a deal looks like, you can see all of those properties, you can do your local market research, become an expert on what a deal is in that market, which, Graham, in the past, back when I first started, like to get that level of local market knowledge would take you 5 years of actually going out there and doing flips yourself before you really would have a good understanding of what the market was. And where you can drive around and you can look at a house and you'd be like, oh, that house is a deal because the house down the street was just fixed and flipped and sold for this much.
Yeah.
We're now able to execute that old school strategy using data and turn anybody who uses our software into a local market expert. So they feel confident in their numbers, they know what a deal looks like, and when an opportunity presents itself to them, they feel comfortable pulling the trigger and getting that offer out the door, which is the start of getting to that success. You can't close deals if you don't write offers.
Yeah. Yeah. That's correct. Yeah. All right. Well, what we'll do, we'll jump into the screen share because I just want you to just give us a quick overview of what you've been talking about, for the last 5 minutes or so. We can't give too much away because we want people to come to the boot camp, and that's where you get the real deep dive. So we'll jump into that, and that way people can get an idea, sort of visually, of what you've been talking about, Benson. So
Absolutely.
you take it away and just run
You
us
got my
through.
screen, Graham?
Yep, got that. That's all up on the main screen now. So we've got the USA up there. So we've got the map.
Perfect. Awesome. So you guys, I was telling you earlier that where you look for deals is probably the most important factor in you having the ability to affect your success. Okay. Do not look for deals where you live for the simple fact that you live there. There was a school of thought for many years that you should just go and learn the business in your own backyard. Big mistake. Okay. What you should do is you should look where the investor activity is. Now, there's three main criteria that I use and when I tell our users to use when looking for a new market to target. Okay, because now with the democratization of data, meaning the data now is available almost universally, you can do business anywhere. So don't get locked into the mindset that you have to look in your own backyard because thinking it's going to give you some sort of an advantage when you can go drive to a property and look at it with your own two eyes. The data tells us this, and I guarantee you that going and looking at a house with your own two eyes, it's holding you back.
Yeah,
It's limiting you to the amount of offers you can get out, the amount of scaling you can do, because this is a numbers business. It's a volume business. And if you can only write as many offers as many properties that you can look at with your own two eyes, you're never going to hit your goals of revenue. So you have to figure out a way to get out of your own way.
yeah,
We've got a really good user. Her name's Rachika Diaz. Amazing woman. She lives in Houston. And when you can, on the map right here, you can see the areas that we have blue, where it's blue. These are the areas where we got the direct to MLS data. It's over 80 markets direct right now. We've got another 30 MLSs that are in the queue in some fashion, compliance or development or us, doing through the contracts. Well, Rachika happens to be in a market right here. We see what's red where we don't have direct to MLS data yet. Now, one of the things I tell people is a checklist in choosing a market. Number one, go to where the investor activity is. I'm going to show you that here in a second. Number two, try to make that overlap with where we've got direct to MLS data. That way, you've got the best data that's available for analyzing your properties and getting really rich information like photos, updates, price reductions, statuses, all the information in one place. She did not have direct to MLS data in Houston yet. We're working on it. You can see right here, it's red. That means it's coming soon.
yeah,
So she said, well, where do you have direct to MLS data that's close? And it happened to be Dallas. So she's like, cool. She's a full time mom. She's an engineer. She's got a full time job. Within 2 weeks of her going in and looking for deals in Dallas, Fort Worth, let me click this button right here. I'm going to show you the investor activity in the map. This shows us where all the fix and flips are doing, or where they're being done in the United States. Now, why is it fix and flip important? Because whenever we're trying to prove how good a deal is, usually the way we measure it is the percentage of ARV. The lower the percentage, the better the deal is. And you can only prove percentage of after repair value in areas where you have high investor activity. So, South Dakota, if you live in Sioux Falls, you're going to have a really hard time putting a one deal together, let alone multiple deals. So she chose Dallas, which actually happens to have high investor activity. So right here, when this loads, you can see here that you got these high numbers. So 589,
mhm,
Oklahoma City's got 2100. There's some other markets that have a little bit lower. She actually happened to choose a really good market here. It's got over 3,000 deals that have been done in the last 12 months. What we're looking at here is essentially heat map. It's a visual way of you understanding where to go look for deals, not some spreadsheet with a bunch of complicated numbers or a graph, right, with a pie chart or some line going up and to the right. You can literally look at this. And if you've never done a deal before, you can be like, oh, yeah, 516. That is the highest amount of investor activity in Dallas. 524 is the Fort Worth. So let's look for deals there. Like it's really that simple. Then you click that cluster and it breaks up even further. And then we're going to dial in even closer here. So as we get closer and closer, this cluster will break up into the individual transactions that comprise that cluster, and then we can see what deals look like here. So all we got to do is just look at all these little properties here to become a local market expert. Every one of these is a closed deal. The best way for you to understand what a deal looks like is to look at closed ones. If you ever heard about the term like don't reinvent the wheel, just emulate the success of other people that have done it before you. Well, these are everybody that have done it before you. How can we reverse engineer that? Well, it's through our reverse REI strategy, what we're doing right now. So let's open up one of these properties. So here's a house that closed recently. This property card is going to open up this report right here, which we call a comparative market analysis. This is a CMA. This is something that I would have to build using my own MLS access and my 20 years of experience. And even with that, it could take me a couple hours to build. But the majority of the people listening out there don't have 20 years experience in comping or pulling comparables or analyzing properties or building CMAs. So they rely on some random website or inferior data that's out there, third party. But what we do is we show you this. This is the before and after on this flip. So we'll show you the before and after on every property, so you can really get your understanding of what a real investor on the ground is doing. So this property right here, this one was purchased directly from the seller. We know that because it says public record. They bought it for 152,000. They sold it for 270,000. That is at 57% of the ARV. So a deal to this flipper, right? We'll show you the after pictures here. For them was 57% of the ARV. Okay, we can see what kind of construction they did, what kind of materials they used. We can get design ideas. I mean, all they did was paint these cabinets. They didn't even go in and do like a full reno on this,
Mm.
but they definitely renovated it, and they got it 57% of the ARV. And then down below that, we actually have the public record data, so we can see who this is. So if you're wholesaling, and a lot of our users do wholesale, you want to work with somebody who's actually doing deals, not somebody you met at the local real estate investment club or somebody you met on Facebook. You don't know if any of those people are actually doing deals. And likely most of those people are just other wholesalers pretending to be flippers so they can stick themselves into the middle of a daisy chain deal and get a little bit of a spiff. But, again, there's nothing wrong with that. But you, if you're wholesaling, you want to deal with Wellborn Property Solutions, right? Because they're doing deals today.
And you want to be able
And
to get on the phone and talk to that person as a real human being and make a connection, don't you?
100%. And then you can use our comparative market analysis as an icebreaker for that conversation. So you can leverage the data that we have here. So if I call Wellborn Property Solutions and I'm like, hey, Miss Wellborn, my name is Benson. I'm an investor out in the Dallas area. And I just wanted to reach out because I saw that house you closed on Sarah Jane Lane. And boy, I got to tell you, like, it came out amazing. Like, that house is basically unrecognizable from when you bought it, back in June. I just really got to give you guys props. Like, you did a great job. Really, really cool. And that's actually why I'm calling, because we're looking to build relationships with active investors that are on the ground in that area over there. And honestly, we're coming across more leads than we can handle. And I love to pass those off on to other investors who are in need of deal flow. And from the looks of it, you're probably looking for another deal right now. Tell me a little bit more about what you're looking for. That thing, I just said it off the top of my head, but I leveraged this data right here to be able to bridge the gap between us and them thinking, who the heck is calling me? Should I waste my time with these people or should I not? Through that little conversation, I demonstrated that I did my research. I knew who they were. I told them what I was looking to do. And really quickly, I can turn that conversation to, how can I help you? What are you looking for? Now, I already have an example of a property that fits their buy box because I'm looking at the house they just closed. So I know they're willing to do a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,829 square foot ranch in 76119. Right? That's half the battle. Now all I have to do is refine that, and then I can build a buy box for well-born properties and then find something that matches their criteria by talking to them. So within hours, Graham, I can build a really solid buyers list of people that I know that are doing deals today, knowing what their criteria is. Here's another one. They got it at 63% of the ARV. So this buyer is actually willing to pay a higher percentage of ARV, 6% higher than that last person. And this here is going to property history here. OCCM Inc. is the flipper on this. So in my mind, OCCM Inc. is a higher value target that I want to spend money and time finding them and building a relationship with them than the other company, because I know they're willing to pay a higher percentage of ARV, 63%. So again, very, very quickly, I become a local market expert. I know what a deal are. I know who the players are, not just the buyers, but also who the agents are. So
Yeah.
when I came and started doing deals in St. Louis, Graham, I needed boots on the ground. And this is why so many people look in their own backyard, because they feel like they need to be their own boots on the ground. Where I was able to leverage an agent that I found in St. Louis who went and looked at properties for me. She took photos for me, short videos. She would look at a house, and she was basically my partner on the ground, who would tell me like, yeah, that property looks to be a deal, and the comps they used look like they're solid. And she was like my eyes and ears there. And very quickly we put together a good plan. And I was able to get, several offers out a week, doing things 100% remotely, and feeling confident in my numbers doing that because I had privy. I didn't have to go look at properties and waste my time driving around. I could literally just find the cream of the crop, get those offers out, and then get deals closed. And it was by doing this market research right here.
Yeah, which is ideal for virtual wholesaling, isn't it? Like virtual wholesaling, like you said, has blown up from COVID onwards, and it's become the norm. So you can be out of state, you can be out of the country, you can be an investor, in Australia, you can be in New Zealand, you could be in Europe, you could be anywhere, and this data makes
Mhm.
you a local expert. So yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And then, like you said, comping is one of the underrated things. You've got to get comping right. There's a lot of people that I've followed that are really good at comping, and they say people skip the importance of comping. Well, you've got it all there right at your fingertips, like real case studies of people that have sold. And like you said, you can see the ARV, you
Yep.
can see everything. So it's amazing.
Yeah, and it's all adjustable too. This report is live. So if I were to share this link with you, Graham, and I sent this to you,
Yeah,
you could open this up on your computer and you would see the same thing I do.
yeah,
It wouldn't be editable, but you and I could basically collaborate. And
yeah,
some of the other use cases, like I could send it to my hard money lender, I could send it to my agent to look at. An agent, if you're an agent, you can send it to your clients, and then you can collaborate with them. A lot of our agents actually get their users or their clients to sign up for Privy, and then their clients find deals and send them to them. So now the agent doesn't have to be the one that's doing all the comping. They don't have to be out there searching for all the deals. They don't have to, uh, convince their client that a deal's a deal. When the agent gets their client more involved in the process, now they're operating at a similar level, and it's a more of a balanced uh, relationship. In the past, relationships or the real estate agents were doing everything, and the investor was just sitting back, and then they would get sent a deal, and then the agent would say that's a deal, and the investor would be like, I don't know what a deal looks like. Is it a deal? They hesitate to procrastinate. Next thing you know, the deal's gone. And so that
yeah,
caused a lot of, like, I guess, tension. And it's from both
yeah,
directions. You probably heard this.
yeah,
I've heard
yeah,
investors say, "Oh, I hate working with agents."
yeah,
Right? And agents are like, "I don't want to waste my time with investors because they don't know how to pull the trigger. They want to lowball everything." And Privy is a perfect platform to level the playing field there and make it to where it's a win-win, and it's more equal in the inputs and also the outputs.
yeah, exactly. That's one thing, being a set of eyes from outside the country and that, and in Australia, you work with an agent. There's no wholesaling. There's none of that stuff in Australia. So you sort of buddy up with some agents. I noticed there was a bit of a investors, wholesalers, agents got a bit of a stand. There was a little bit of, especially a couple of years ago, a bit of a Mexican standoff sort of thing. And this is the tool that sort of links everyone together. And like even you said, you can reach out to proper buyers in a professional way with all the information rather than just hitting people with
Hmm.
a text message or something like that. So it's sort of a bit of a link in it, and I can see, like you said, um, agents can use this and then reach out and build connections with investors as well. So
Oh yeah, it's a great thing for finding those agents that are investor focused.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Bigger Pockets is a great platform. They got so much good education and good forums there, and they have a service they provide where you can go there and you can find agents that are supposedly investor focused, and maybe most of them are, but all they have to do is just pay, and then they're on the list, right? So have they done one deal? Have they done 50 deals? Have they done no deals? You don't know.
yeah,
But with this, if I look at these fix and flip properties, And I see that Aaron Gistel right here at the bottom just represented this fix and flipper. Well, it takes time to earn the trust of a fix and flipper before they'll let you list a property for them,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't just happen. So Aaron is a good agent to work with because I know that Aaron's working with investors, right? That's a really cool thing, and
Yeah.
that's how I found my agent Nika in St. Louis. And now I've got a great relationship with her, and she'll do anything for me. She's introduced me to all of her contractors. She's introduced me to her title company, her investor friendly title company, all kinds of connections. It's just been a very valuable relationship that I never would have found if I didn't have Privy.
Yeah.
Um, Now, there's a couple of things I want to point out here that is valuable about this, which is if you're focusing on off market leads, one of the reasons why that's failing for you too is again because you're looking in the wrong areas. So this
Yep.
strategy right here will help all of your other lead generation strategies be more effective and you get a better return on investment. So if I was going to pull a list of say like foreclosures, for example, I would come into the filter, I would pull, my foreclosures, and I could download that list, and we give you up to 10,000 downloads per month for free with your Privy subscription. Um, but what we're doing here is we're putting those leads in the same area where the data is for us to put a deal together. That way, if I get a call back on say a postcard or maybe I'm dialing for dollars and I talk to somebody, I can give them an offer that's based off of a renovated home, right? So let's say the OCC, right? They bought at 63%. Well, I want to find something at 60% or lower, right, to fit their buy box. That would
Mm.
give me at least a 3%. So if I were to write an offer based off of this $250,000 house, let's say there's a house that's unrenovated in that same neighborhood. Well, $250,000 times zero point 0.6, I can give them 150 grand on that house on an unrenovated home that's next door to the one that was flipped. But if I have an unrenovated home, like this house that was flipped for 250, if I look at the before data here, they got it for 138. So an unrenovated home that's in the same neighborhood is worth 138. So let's say I wrote an offer based all the comps are unrenovated. So now I can't use the 250. I have to use the 138 as my baseline because when you target areas that have low investor activity, you have to use unrenovated comps to do your math. So if I multiplied 138 by zero point 0.6, I have to offer $82,000 on the same house if I'm in a low investor activity area. So that is what's 82,000 minus 150. So that's a $67,000 difference with the simple fact that I target a high investor activity area compared to a low investor activity area. This is the game changer for you guys. Even if you
Yep.
never use Privy, and I hope you do join us for the challenge that we're going to do on the 22nd. I'm going to teach you exactly how to do this from A to Z. If you don't take anything else away from this, target high investor activity areas. You can see here that's a $67,000 switch in what I
Yep.
can offer an owner for the simple fact that the house down the street was flipped rather than a house being in a neighborhood where there's unrenovated homes. This is why you're writing offers and no one accepts your offer. It's because you're targeting the wrong areas.
Yeah. Yep. That makes a lot of sense. And I mean, you can also see too by this clumps. Does that is that where there's more investor activity or more because there's more sales? So does that give you an indication also with Privy that well, there's big gaps in between, so don't go there. Go to where the clumps are because that's where the action is.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, this is even more granular, but remember when I started out nationwide?
Yeah.
Well, the
Yep.
clumps was Dallas. Like Dallas was the clump.
Yeah.
Sioux Falls, there was nothing there, right? So I avoid Sioux Falls, and then I go to Dallas, Fort Worth, and then I look there. So I want to take this one step further here, and I want to show you how you can find deals. So there's off-market deals and there's on-market deals. Now, one of the big misconceptions out there is that there's no deals on the MLS, right? Well, there absolutely are deals on the MLS, and based off of our data analytics with our team, anywhere from 55 to 70% of all deals come from the MLS. So yes, if you've got a working strategy for off market, keep doing that. You're going to find some deals. But the low hanging fruit is on market because you can find those deals every single day where there's good margins, really deep margins. You just have to know how to find them. So how do you find those? So now that we're in this high investor activity area, I'm going to run our comping algorithm that's going to search for deals here and show us properties that we can write offers on. Now, I don't know if there's any deals today, but this is the process. So here's a high investor activity area. I'm going to click this one button that says find similar active deals. Our system's going in and it's pulling comps on every single property in this area. And then I'm going to lower this to 60% because I know OCCM will buy up to 63%, at least in the right situation, right? And then let's put a price ceiling here. Let's say we talked to OCCM. They said we need to have properties lower than 300 grand. So we can essentially build our buyer's buy box right here. And if you're the flipper yourself, then that's your buy box. If you're an agent, this is the buy box of your client. You can build that right in here, and then Privy goes in and it pulls comps on all the properties in this area. And now it's showing us houses that we can buy today that have data that says they're worth looking at. Right? Here's a handful of properties. So every one of these is a potential deal. So here's a house. I don't know why they're showing this as their main picture. Maybe it looks like it was permitted before. But when we look at the comparables, the reason why we flag this property as a deal is because there are two flips in the same neighborhood that happened recently. So we can buy this one for 129. This house was just fixed and flipped and sold for 257. This house was just fixed and flipped and sold for 225, which puts this house at asking price between 51 and 58% of the ARV. We know that OCCM will buy a property up to 63% of the ARV, and we set our filter to 50 to 60%. This is significantly lower, right? Now, let's just say we negotiated and we figured out, okay, we can get this deal um, up to 60% of the ARV, right? Because that's what OCCM would do. But at 129, let's say the ARV is 257, 225. I mean, we're significantly lower than what we know OCCM would do. This thing is at as a deal at asking price. We didn't have to skip trace. We didn't have to cold call. We didn't have to knock on anybody's door. We didn't have to spend a bunch of money on expensive marketing campaigns like a mailer. Like I can't tell you, you probably have heard horror stories too, Graham, of people that spend $5,000, $10,000 on a email or a mailing campaign and get zero deals out of it.
Yep.
Oh my God, it happens every day. Or people that are banging their heads against the wall, searching for, dialing for dollars or driving for dollars or doing all that stuff. Like we can really literally find properties every day that are let's see what we have here in Dallas. This is the
And
high investor activity
you
here.
can still put an offer out. You can still put a lower offer and negotiate on market. I mean, a lot of people get a fair discount on market stuff depending on what the situation is with the person. So
You
that price
absolutely
isn't
can.
necessarily fixed, is it? I mean, you may be able to get that for 20K less, which really pads up your figures. And like you say, putting more and more offers out, the
Absolutely.
percentages say that you're going to pick up some deals at in that price range at 20, 30K less sometimes. So
You
that's the
can,
added
but
bonus.
let me ask you this, Graham. Why would you go for 20 to 30 grand less if it's already at 51% of the ARV at asking price?
Yeah, well, that's true. Just if it's if it suits your figures, it's a deal, isn't it? So
Right. And
yeah,
this is where I
absolutely.
think there's that misconception is people always think they have to get it lower than ask price. Here's what I know about real estate agents. I am one, and I know what agents do. Agents intentionally list properties below their retail as is price to artificially create a bidding war on that property. So the simple fact that they listed it at 135 shouldn't change my strategy as a wholesaler or as a buyer. If a buyer OCCM says I need something lower than 60%, and I can find something lower than 60%, even if it's on market at asking price, then why lowball it? And then somebody else is going to beat me and come in higher.
Yeah,
And it's still a deal, right? Based off of what we know about the market. So when you know your numbers, and you pay attention to what your buyers want, you pay attention to what actual retail buyers are actually buying at, what percentages, you don't have to come in and offer a discount just for the simple fact of doing it. Because when you do that, you're weakening your offer and you're lowering your chance of you getting a property under contract and then actually getting a deal that you can make money on. If I can find a property in Privy and it takes me 3 minutes, and I mean the highest assignment fee I've ever made on Privy was $13,000 for an on market deal. But if I could get this under contract for 130 and I can turn it around to them for 134, they get a $1,500 discount. I make a $4,000 assignment fee for something I spent 5 minutes on. That's a really good return on investment.
And another thing, Benson, when we go back to relationship building, you as an agent, if you had someone that just went bang, bang, pulled the trigger, didn't lowball you, you'd probably then be more likely to build a relationship with that person because they're not, rather than someone that just keeps lowballing you all the time. So is that the school of thought with that you're going to build a better relationship and an agent's going to trust you a lot more because they go, well, this person, they know what they're doing. They pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather bring them pocket listings and other deals as well
Yep.
in that area, and they'll build a relationship faster.
Oh yeah, it goes a long way because you're making people money at that point. You're making money. The agent's making money. Um, like Nika, for example, she's made enough money for me now where she'll do things that like have nothing to do with transactions anymore. Like she'll go and she'll put like a lockbox on a property for me, or she's looked at off market properties that I found on Privy for
Yeah,
me. She's walked around them and looked at them, knowing that like she's not going to make money on that particular transaction per se, but she knows it's a long game. Like we've built a relationship together, and she knows that the next time I write an offer on an on market deal, she's the agent.
yep, yep,
And if I find an off market property that I need a buyer for, she's got buyers too. Right? I can send it
yeah,
to one of her buyers, and now she looks good in the eyes of her buyer because she brought them a deal, and then she gets to be the listing agent on that deal on the back end. So
yeah.
relationships is key. You're absolutely right. And
Love it.
if you deliver on in those relationships, they'll want to work with you over and over and over again, and it just becomes a cash machine.
Yeah, love it, Benson. You're bringing everyone together. It's like we'll be singing "We Are the World." It's bringing all the factions together now, isn't it? Like it's a great model. Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate you going through that. Now that's only just a
Yeah,
sample
thank you.
because
Yep.
I've got Privy and I look through it and everything. There's a lot more stuff. So guys, you've got to jump into the. I'm just going to put it up on the screen now. The 3-day event. We've got it here. I think the link's also here on the screen. Hit that, and you'll go to a form that you can register. You've got to come to the 3-day event. What other stuff? Just briefly, Benson. What other sort of key points will people learn in that software? Because obviously 3 days, there's a fair bit to learn. So that
There
was
is.
just
There's a good amount.
yeah,
So they're 2 hour blocks. So it's 3 days. It's 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Um, Everybody who joins the event, we're going to give you a free account, a free Privy account to use during those 3 days so that you can participate in all of the training that we're doing. You can participate in all of the homework. We're going to give you homework to do. And by the end of that 3 days, you'll be very proficient in using the tool. You're going to find deals that you can write offers on in those 3 days. I guarantee it. Now, at the end of the 3 days, you're going to want to make a decision on whether or not you want to use the tool long term. And that 3 day boot camp is kicking off our full 30-day challenge. So for 30 days, we're going to be doing intensive training. We're going to have accountability groups. We're going to have a community. And over 30 days, we actually have gamified the whole process of doing real estate deals in our 30-day challenge. We call it Find Your Deal Challenge. And we make it really fun. This is no one's ever done this before, you guys. So we've done a beta test of this a couple of months ago with our group, and people loved it. So we basically have a point structure, and there's prizes. So after 30 days, we're going to give away a $500 prize. We've got bunches of free months of Privy, T-shirts, gift cards. It's just a really fun thing. But all you got to do is write offers, get deals under contract, and if you close deals, we give you even more points. There's this whole point structure, a leaderboard. It is so much fun. People love it. And I talk to people after we finished the last challenge, and I asked them, I said, listen, you won this, you got this month, you got the grand prize. Would you have done those things if you hadn't been participating in the challenge? And every single one of them said no.
Yeah.
If I hadn't participated in the challenge and there wasn't like a deadline and there weren't points and there weren't these things that I needed to do to like get ahead in the challenge, I wouldn't have done those things because there was no structure and there was no accountability and there was no kind of framework for how to do this. That's what the 30-day challenge will do for you guys. It'll give you the framework and you'll be around other people doing it at the same time, and people squat up and they do things together, and we've got a community where you can get help, and it's ongoing training and coaching, and that's all free.
Yeah.
100% free. After the 3 days of using Privy, then at that point you'll decide if you want to move forward with a challenge. It's going to be an absolute blast. You're going to love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Awesome. Just someone in the chat says, say, how do we sign up again? Just you see on the graphics on the bottom of the screen there, http://bit.ly/blah blah blah. So just if you hit that or go into, even as type it into your browser or your Safari on your phone, it'll come up with the challenge, and you just fill it out, and then you'll get an email, and you'll get all the information from there. So, yeah, Benson, like just back to what you were saying, and finishing up, these challenges. I've been in a couple of challenges with different people before, and they drag you up to a level that you just don't do by yourself. It's like when you go and play high level sport. When you're at club level, you just don't train at that level. So, guys, if you really want to get the most out of this, come in. Benson knows it like the back of his hand. He's seen the results, and that was just like the tip of the iceberg of what this software can do. So, go to that link, type that link into your browser or whatever, or, watch the video replay. Go to the YouTube channel and rewatch it, and then maybe cut it and paste it, and come in, because I tell you what, these challenges are amazing. And just one thing, a lot of people say, well, 3 days, I haven't got 3 days. Like Benson said, it's a 2-hour block. It's not the whole day. You can fit 2 hours in, you can work your day around it. And even the 30-day challenge, you're not there every day for 5 hours for 30 days. It's certain tasks, and then you get a period of time to do them. So it's not a huge time-consuming thing. But what you've got, if you've got Benson and the team there that can point you in the right direction, if you've got questions, you get stuck with something, bang, they're there. And they're going to drag you up to play at a high level. So do yourself a favor, come in. Like, you've got nothing to lose. It's free. And, like I said, I've been all over Preview. I just think it's an amazing product. And, just come in, check it out. Check out the 3 days. A bit like Benson said, if after 3 days you're like, nah, I'll do my own thing, he's fine with it. But at least you'll know, and you'll be amazed at what's in the product. So, fantastic, Benson. Thanks for the invite for everybody. I appreciate you coming on and inviting
Thank
people.
you.
I know there's a big buzz about this product, and a lot of people in the industry that use it. I'm fairly sure that I've heard that a lot of Pace Morby students use it, and Jamil and all those people, that little clan, the Arizona guys, they use it, and their students use it and have had big results. So that's just a testament to, if they're going to use a product and endorse a product like that it's the real deal. So awesome, mate. Looking forward to seeing you myself in there.
Yeah,
And
it's going to be fun. Well, you're doing the challenge too, right, Graham?
Yeah, I'm in the challenge.
So this is what's cool, guys, is Graham's actually going to do the challenge with us live,
Yeah,
right?
yep.
And by the way, if you can't tell from his accent, right? If you don't know Graham, he's in a completely different country. So he's going to do it. He's going to show you how somebody from a completely different country can use the software and make traction and do deals. If you think you've got an excuse, there's no excuse,
No
right? We've got
excuse,
people
guys.
all over the world that use Privy and are having success right here in the US and will never set foot here.
Yep.
If you got to get out of your own way, you got to get out of your own head, you got to stop making excuses, and you got to start taking action. The 3-day boot camp will give you all the tools you need to participate in the 30-day challenge, start taking action, start getting offers out the door, and have a community, and know that you're not doing this alone. You're not in this alone. You're going to have us, you're going to have me, my team, Graham, everyone's going to be there doing it with you. come and do it. If you're already a privy user, somebody asks, yeah, you can absolutely participate. We want everyone to be there. It's going to be so much fun. Don't miss it.
Yep. We'll finish it off there. The last thing just about that is, I'm getting up in the middle of the night to come and do this because I know the value I'm going to get. And I've done a few challenges very similar to this. And one of the things you do is you get a greater network. You may end up Facebook friends with 10, 20, 30 people. And all of a sudden I'm still communicating and working with people that I've been on other challenges with. So they're amazing. You get to basically get in the driver's seat with Benson and his team. And even if you only do the 3 days, you will come out of it with a lot more knowledge. So awesome. We'll jump off now, Benson. Thank you for spending the time going through the software.
Oh, my pleasure.
And thanks for inviting everyone in. Guys, go to that link again, register, come in. I'll see you in there. Benson will see you in there. And we'll have a blast. We'll grab a coffee. I'll be pumped up on coffee in the middle of the night. And Benson will lead us into battle. So awesome. Thanks, Benson. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Graham.
And looking forward to hanging out with you on the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th of this month.
Awesome. Can't wait to see you guys there. Thank you so much, Graham.
No worries. See you guys. And hit that link. All right. Thanks to Benson. You've been thunderstruck. We'll see you next time.